My dear brothers and sisters in Christ, I have been excited to make this video. I got quite a few things to mention. Why am I excited? Because I love talking about different ways to get the gospel out. Now, before I jump into it, every time when I do talk about this subject, it brings up a lot of contrition. A lot of people have opinions about this day of the year. And even if you mention the word Halloween, people get mad. It's like you have to mention Reformation Day in the same breath, to protect yourself. Otherwise, it's an evil thing. It's one of those words you're not supposed to say or whatever. But I'll talk more about that at the end. I probably have many more thoughts that, I don't really feel like sharing, but I'll share it anyway. And I'll probably take up the bulk of this video, unfortunately, but I think I should say something about that. If you hear sounds in the background, just because I'm in the middle of a bunch of stuff at the same time, I might pause the video here and there, collect my thoughts, and move on and stuff. But anyway, 1 week and a day is that infamous day that should not be named. I love to have fun, guys, and I'll get to that hopefully if I remember. But I think we need to kind of chill out a little bit and just have some fun more and more in life in general. But especially with us being Christians, and yeah. Anyway, there are many gospel tracts that you could get that's very specific to Halloween, Reformation Day. Sorry, and yeah, here is one of them from Gospel Tract Planet or TractPlanet.com rather. There are several Halloween specific ones. You don't have to get this particular one, but it's just what I have up here. I want to talk about a couple of different ways and how we can utilize these as well. So here are just a few other ones. You can use any gospel tract. Let's see, I know I had another one right here from Living Waters. They have the Halloween $1 Million Bill tract. The comic book tract is good for any occasion. So are the 10 Commandment coins. Actually, I love using the 10 Commandment coins even for trick-or-treating. I'll talk about that later, hopefully. And some other more kid-friendly ones if you so desire. I like to, if you can afford it, get a whole bunch of 10 Commandment pens like that and hand those out. But I think we know the obvious way of using gospel tracts or Halloween to get the gospel out is that when people come to your door to get candy, you can give them candy and the gospel tract. Some people might just give a gospel tract. I think it's more wise to give candy and the gospel tract, but you do what you want. I will post a video that I made some years ago down below once I find it, so it might not be up right away, of one Halloween, an idea that we had. Just very simple. I think we used address labels that had the Fully Free Films website on it, and we just put that sticker on candy, and then we had a pumpkin with 180movie.com written on it. And I can't remember what I all said in that video, but I'll try to post it down below. But yeah, that's the obvious way. Very obvious, and you can get into as much as you want with displays and things like that. I had a friend who kind of did the pumpkin idea, but had a bunch of smaller pumpkins and had 180movie.com with each letter or number or whatever on each pumpkin. So that's an option that you can do. Maybe somebody will remember that, take a picture or whatever. Or you just keep it simple and give a gospel tracts. I would recommend, however, if an adult, sometimes the adults come up as well with the kids, is to give the adults something. I mean, there are many older kids that go trick-or-treating. It's not just the younger, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, whatever. There are older ones as well, so definitely make sure they get a gospel tract. But let's not neglect the adults as well. And let's see, that kind of brings me into another way that we can utilize gospel tracts. Now, I did make a video some years ago. I called it reverse trick-or-treating, I think. And basically, it was just like going door to door and delivering gospel tracts. I think we didn't do it on Halloween. I think it was me and Chloe. We went out and did something like that, and I made a video about it. But there are other ways, for instance, sorry, I have this thing going off in the background. What you can do as well is, now let's just be honest, a lot of us Christians are going to take our kids trick-or-treating. Now I'll get into all that. I know people are ready to debate and unsubscribe and all that. They're, getting ready to type up right now without even listening further, a response to that, but just hear me out. There are those who are going to do that regardless of how much internet debating that we do. Let's just acknowledge that, and at the very least, come up with a strategy of what they can do. So, you could do both. Maybe one parent stays home, or maybe you have one of those things where it's just, take one in a bowl or whatever, and you have like that address label idea attached to the pieces of candy or whatever, or some kind of like goodie bag or something, and the gospel tract inside each one. What the adults can also do is have gospel tracts on hand, like one of these $1 million bill ones perhaps. Come up with something fun to say, like as you're going up to get candy, say like, oh, hey, here's payment for your candy, or something fun like that. I don't know. I'm not the best at coming up with like fun things to say. And even if it's not fun, just, you don't even have to say anything. Just like, hey, we want you to also have something. We got a treat for you. And then, yeah, they'll take it, no doubt. Another thing you can do is like the 10 Commandment coins. I've done this before, is like leave a 10 Commandment coin. Like when you have like bowls that say take one, which isn't, it's kind of common. Leave a gospel tract there and somebody else will take it from that area. That's kind of fun. Or you can like leave it under the bowl, and then when the people, when they come to collect the bowl, the owners of the house, they'll see that and they will receive a gospel tract, or you can leave it by the door, a gospel tract or whatever. I think in one of the videos I put out one year is I left a 10 Commandment coin inside a pumpkin. It had a candle in it, but I kind of fed it through the mouth. So you can do fun things like that. The coins are very versatile, and they're weatherproof, which is one reason why I like them. So you can do things like that. But yeah, there's also another idea that I had. Now this is one that might get me more in trouble than anything else. Sometimes you might have, I don't know, if some holiday event in a community. The only one I can think of around me is in the Appleton area, the Appleton late night bar outreach. I'm pretty sure they would still do this. I don't know why they wouldn't anymore. But in the past, what they have done was, it gets really busy there. We go out there, open their pre-channel gospel tracts, talk to people, all that good stuff. And on Halloween, it's on a Saturday. Halloween's on a Friday, but Saturday night, late night bar outreach, it's the nearest Saturday to Halloween. Everybody will be out there dressed up in costumes and such as they go bar hopping. Well, if they have something like that in your community, or some other event where people are dressed up, especially for more shy people, what you can do is dress up as something if you're willing, especially if you're like really shy and you have a mask on and you're really nervous. Dress up as something and hand the gospel tract, so you don't have to say anything, or you can if you want, just whatever. Just walk around like on College Avenue in Appleton, dressed up as whatever, and just hand out gospel tracts, and I'm sure many people will take them. And you can talk to them. Maybe you don't want to have a mask on, and just be more open. Just, have fun, which, again, hopefully I'll get into in a little bit, that just having fun aspect. Because I've been out a number of times. This is kind of a somewhat of a side point, but I've been out a number of times witnessing with other people. And, some of the people you're talking to, which you would expect, would get kind of rowdy and upset because of what we're talking about. But there is a way to neutralize a lot of that stuff, and I think one of those ways, sometimes you just have to have a little bit of fun. It's not to the detriment, of what you're talking about. Just apply wisdom, but sometimes just saying, some people can get a little too grouchy. I'm talking about the other people who you are witnessing with, not to. The people who you are there as fellow believers, doing the same thing. You know what I mean? There's just been a lot of off-putting things I have seen, and you gotta have that balance. Be serious, yes, but some of us can have a little bit of a better attitude, I think, just my opinion. So, yeah, that is another idea. So, I think I got most of everything that I wanted to say down. You can read some of this if you want, or just go to the website. I did have a lot of thoughts. I think it was, the Reformed Sage Facebook page that posted something about this. And I can't remember what the exact context was, but this was like maybe a week ago now. Something like, oh, what are you guys doing for Halloween or whatever. And, then there's always, it's kind of the same thing every year. Halloween, Christmas, and Easter. The same debates all the time. The same, sometimes angry reactions and all that stuff. Now, as I say on this topic, the last times I talked about it, which, I admit it's kind of been a little while now, you can do what you want. That's fine. I'm not trying to change anyone's opinion on the matter. But I will say for me personally that it just gets kind of tiring in 20-some years of being a Christian, seeing the same debates ensue every year around these holidays. Nobody's opinion is going to be changed on it. No one's going to change their ways, but it's the same thing all the time, and there's really no grace. It's like you swing one way, strong on one side, or the other way. Like you can't even, I was kind of joking about it before, maybe I shouldn't have, but you can't even mention the word Halloween without mentioning Reformation Day. Or on the other side where you're like, yeah, it's just, who cares, partake in anything. Look, no one's going to be, well, hopefully not, maybe I shouldn't say this like with broad strokes, but Christians aren't going to be worshiping the devil on Halloween, if they do partake in it in some way. Now, yes, there can be some wisdomy things, but we also have to just be careful with how far we take it with people. Now, I was kind of going to say this in kind of like a fun way, but I remember one of the times when I made one of these videos, like right away I got some, not so good savory reactions to it, and I saw the subscriber count go down. And sometimes I noticed that, like, you can do a good thing in the church, or you can, be known as somebody who does, some good thing, and people like you for it, whatever. But as soon as you say like one wrong thing, or that's perceived as one wrong thing, then it's like, yep, I'm done. And then, they just kind of slam the door in your face. So yeah, I was kind of thinking like, oh, once I post this video, how many people am I going to lose? I'm not like trying to complain about anything. I'm just doing this as like, I don't know, research purposes or just curiosity, whatever. I mean, it depends on how many people even make it this far in the video, probably. I don't know, but how many people see it all together. I was going to mention, like, okay, we're at this number of subscribers right now. Let's see how much it falls down. And I forgot to look and see how many I have. All right, I'm looking right now. I have 484. So we'll see how much that drops, just out of curiosity. Another thought I had before about the whole costume thing and being out. Well, first of all, for sure, pray for people who are out and about. I wanted to make another separate video about gospel tracts, and there's always people that are very negative to utilizing gospel tracts. And one of my responses would be, we're both in this together. You may not agree, but still, you can pray for the person. You don't have to be angry and hate the person. We should be known by our love for one another. You don't have to suddenly slam the door in their face and never talk to that person again, which is sometimes the reaction that we can have to one another. Doesn't mean, if we have a concern, we can talk to them, but sometimes I just think we need to apply a little bit more grace. I don't really post that much on Facebook anymore, but I have a lot of friends on there who are believers, and I still see a lot of infighting, sometimes about the most ridiculous thing. Like, I'm not going to name names, can't remember the names anyway, but, this whole Charlie Kirk thing, like, there's been a lot of just weird infighting about that, and to the point where people are really going at it. I mean, it was like basically calling people heretics and unsaved because of whether or not they supported him. It's so ridiculous. You couldn't even get down to the core argument because it was just so ugly. And then sharing private messages to the world, and it's just one example, but you see a lot of things like that, and I just think it's really necessary. But that's just what we can do to one another. We tend to devour one another, especially when we have social media today that has not brought us closer together, but it's mostly separating us. You know, every year I think we're just more separated from people, and it's causing more depression and things like that. I mean, these are all things I'm sure we already know, but you can see how it works in the Christian life, in the Christian sphere as well. But anyway, yeah, I was going to say, like, with the whole costume thing, you know, just having fun, just chill a little bit, have fun. I think, okay, so, you know, you want to dress up as something. That doesn't mean you're worshiping the devil, and it doesn't mean that, oh, now you're celebrating a worldly day. Now, again, apply your own wisdom and come to your own conclusions. But I think we can acknowledge that we all have an innate desire to have fun. And some of that is that we just, you know, we think it's fun to dress up as like a movie character, a video game character, something from a TV show, whatever, and just have fun with it. And because there is a day in the year where everybody does that, whether it's Halloween or not, I mean, if there was some other, you know, dress up day and just have fun day, I'm sure people would partake in that in the same exact way without any different intentions. You know, we falsely give intentions that, oh, that just means if you're dressing up on this particular day, that means you are in some way giving credence to the devil or whatever. And if that's what you feel and that's your convictions, you know, I'm not coming against that. But, you know, it's just try to have some balance, try to, you know, if we can, be nicer to each other. But again, I think that there's just something to be said just about human nature and wanting to have fun and all that. You know, just wanting to dress up and have fun. Like, I have a lot of fun with my kids. Over the years, I've learned to take things less seriously that are not meant to take so seriously. You know, I look at the number of my days are getting shorter and shorter. I'm getting older. And, you know, there's nothing wrong in saying that you just want to have fun. And honestly, I think that's what a lot of, like, why we participate in something like Halloween, just like in general. I'm just talking about people who want to go trick-or-treating, and it doesn't go beyond that. You know, yes, there are evil aspects to it. I'm not denying that. Again, we have to have a healthy balance in how we view these things. It's just my opinion. But again, let's be nicer to each other. And not, like, you know, instead of throwing eggs at people's homes or toilet paper, someone's home, we do it to each other. It's, you know, it's kind of ironic or something, I suppose. How we would be against doing something like that, of course, to other people's property, but we're, like, willing to do that to each other so easily. You know, especially because of social media, it's so easy to throw eggs at people. Anyway, and not be nice to each other and just, you know, let our true selves be shown more than what we would do in person for the most part. And again, even if we disagree with something, we can still pray for one another and support each other. And hey, have we forgot to be excited that the gospel is going out? I mean, it's a real question. Like, I'm serious. For, you know, it doesn't have to be just for this reason. Like, even hand out gospel tracts and people come against you for that. Like, can't you just be happy that at least this is happening? And it's supporting you getting the gospel out as well. You know, you might talk to someone verbally, and we're in the background reminding them of the gospel with gospel tracts. That's kind of a separate thing I wanted to make a video about, just talking about that one aspect there. That kind of came to my attention, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago. I was just thinking strongly about that. But anyway, there's a sermon I listened to years ago now, but it always stuck with me. It's from the book of Acts, from the later teen chapters, I believe, like 19 or 18 or whatever. Somewhere around there, maybe it's further than that, where Paul wants to go somewhere, but his friends are kind of urging him not to, but, you know, he believes that it's the right thing to do. There's a disagreement, that's the point I'm getting to. But the other people, his close companions, were not going to hinder him. You know, at one point they came to that point where they just have to agree to disagree, but they're still going to love on him. And I think they even went with him as far as they were able to. And it was great, it's beautiful. And I think we could learn something about that. There, I found a video from 5 years ago, National Evangelism Day. There's only 2 comments on there, so it wasn't the one that I was thinking of, but there was another one that I think I did a couple years later or so. But yeah, that's just some ideas there. What else you can do. That's the video I'll try to post in the comments in a little while if I don't do it right away. Here, I'll go to share and copy link, and I'll remember to do that. But yeah, I wanted to get back to like just the fact that, and I was thinking about this too with that post from the Reformed Sage. I think it was that page or some other page, something with Reformed in it. A lot of people are saying, oh yeah, like these ultra, I'm not trying to say this in like a mean way, but like for lack of a better way, like ultra Christian responses, like, oh yeah, we're gonna, shut the lights off or go somewhere, pretend we're not home, or we're going to celebrate Reformation Day at our church or whatever, or give a gospel tracts doing this or that thing with our church or whatever, which is fine. Not coming against that at all. Even if you just, pretend you're not home or whatever. But the truth of the matter is, I think a lot of people were afraid to like say that, yeah, we're going to take our kids trick-or-treating. Like, you can definitely get that sense. Because look, I mean, I'm just being honest. I know in my community and other like nearby communities, I know a lot of people, a lot of Christians, even people who are, maybe like somewhat leaders in their church or whatever, well known, well respected, they take their kids trick-or-treating. They're probably not going to announce it because they know if they do announce it online, they're going to get the, I can't think right now. I'm having Joe Biden brain. Sorry. I said it to somebody the other day and she laughed at it, but they're going to get the hammer, swung down or whatever. I can't think of the terminology I want to use, but they're going to get a beating from other believers, basically, a verbal beating, if they announce that. But we know that that's what happens, and whatever, it should be fine. It's going to happen, but hey, let's give those people an idea of what they can do. A really simple idea. Order these gospel tracts now so you have time to get them and utilize them. It's really easy. And maybe, hey, it's probably the first time that your neighbors even, or, you can go elsewhere, but maybe the first time your neighbors even know you're a believer. But, or if you're that nervous, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because if anyone's nervous, it's me. Even still, after all these years, go to a different community where nobody knows you and, give them off there, or give them away there. A few years ago, I think I made a video about this. I couldn't find it right then and there. Maybe it was my other YouTube channel. So I have like 9 YouTube channels. Here, hold on a second. So here are some of my other YouTube channels. I don't have like a couple other ones on this phone that I'm using because I don't remember the password, but I can easily get to them. I don't really post to a lot of these that much anymore anyway. But yeah, you can see there under Parade the Gospel, I have UFO. I changed the name like several times. UFO Talk from a Christian. I had like UAP news from a Christian perspective because I think that's a very, very, very important topic that Christians are too afraid to talk about. Before I get on my soapbox there, but I think it's going to be more and more pertinent as the days go forward, and we shouldn't be afraid to talk about those things with the world to set the table, so to speak, and provide a biblical response to the issue that's really gaining a lot of steam. But I say talk about that until I'm blue in the face on my Facebook and nobody cares. But anyway, soapbox moment there. But anyway, what was I saying? It's not on here. I had another YouTube channel. What's the name? I don't really post on there that much. It was kind of an experiment. I just wanted to see if people would subscribe to it like in huge numbers because of the name. Unique, easy ways to share the gospel, I think is the name of it. But I think maybe it was that channel I posted the Halloween video. I don't know. It could be on my channel on Parade the Gospel. I just don't remember. Anyway, I know I'm kind of all over the place. I apologize for that. Just have a lot to say. But yeah, here's another one from Living Waters that you can get in bulk. And yeah, just distribute them like crazy. Oh yeah, I was talking about my trick-or-treating adventure from a few years ago. So yes, sometimes we do take our family out and just have a good time. I'll go with the older kids. My wife will go with the younger ones. We'll kind of split up usually because, some people are faster walkers than others, and we kind of have a big group. But that year, I dressed up as Link from The Legend of Zelda. I have like this kind of like a jacket thing. It's got like a shield on the back, and then I had a Master Sword thing that I was carrying around, and I just had a lot of fun. But we hit up a lot of houses, and I was leaving gospel tracts, especially like I had mentioned, leaving them at places where other people could find. The other thing you could do too is like some houses have like a bunch of displays, and even like haunted houses, if you want to call it that, like a garage. It's one house every year. They have like a garage. You walk through it. They have different things. People jump out at you, whatever, and leave gospel tracts as you go through it for the people, maybe just them, when they clean up or whatever. And there's so many things you can do. But yeah, I remember distinctly that one year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I don't remember, but I felt great. Like just running around, having so much fun, leaving gospel tracts, and I wasn't thinking like the devilish nature that some people make it out to be, because we're just having fun, dressed up as fun characters, nothing demonic. We're not going home afterwards and shaking dead chickens in our living room over a Pentagon, or what's it called? Not Pentagon. Oh yeah, Pentagon? Well, whatever it is, on the floor while we do that, having ceremonies and stuff. Again, I think it's the whole dressing up thing and being characters and just having fun has more to do with just our innate desire to have fun than it is because of the day of the year. Like again, if it was some other day, for some other reason, like we would all do that. Like we would have days like this more often than just that day, just because everybody else is doing it, and we can all come together as a community and have fun in that way. It has far, far, far less to do with the demonic nature of it. I'm not denying that there's some stuff with that, but I think for most people, that's like the furthest thing from their mind. But I think that no matter what you say, that we just have to agree to disagree with some things. I will always come against evil things, and I do still sometimes, like on Facebook or whatever, there's some kind of movement happening, some kind of false teacher being promoted, whatever. Yes, I have problems with it, and yes, I will speak up against it. People are like, I don't know, getting really deep into some demonic thing on Halloween or otherwise. I'll be against that too. But again, I think we just need to have a balance and still have a love for each other, even if we disagree. I probably used to take a much, much harder stance on this particular holiday, not to the point where like we never do anything, we hide ourselves, but I think I did. But I learned to loosen up a little bit over the years. Like I said, I'm getting older. I just want to enjoy time with my family more, want to work less, and still want to get the gospel out too. And I think a lot of other people feel the same. And it's really hard for people to want to open up and talk about what they're doing on Halloween. But it's easy for other people who kind of want to, let's be honest, maybe not most, I don't know what everyone's intentions are, but a lot of people just want to hear themselves talk, even to strangers, and kind of promote themselves and, feel good about what they're doing, and what they're against as well. Anyway, all in all, let's not beat each other up. I can probably ramble on for much longer, but I really should end this. I think I did have like more things I want to say earlier. I was thinking about it. That's why I'm kind of utilizing the pause button a lot here. If you can probably tell from the time up in the upper left-hand corner that, yeah, I'm definitely pausing it. But can't think of all the exact things, but I got the gist of what I wanted to say out. So let's not beat each other up. Let's support each other and getting the gospel out. And yeah, if you have a concern, I don't mind, talking about it, but let's not go overboard with each other. Let's love each other like it's a miracle. Let's do that. Pray for one another. Pray for the people who will receive gospel tracts on this coming National Evangelism Day. Get some gospel tracts if you want to participate, even if you just want to do, something like you just hand them out at home to people. But I really like the idea though of going out and not just giving them to kids when they come to you, but giving them to the adults as well. Or even the other idea, if there's some kind of like costume get together at some park, or even something for like adults in Appleton, Wisconsin. A lot of people dressing up, going from bar to bar, getting drunk, participating in the evil. Just dress up as something and go out and mingle among them and deliver the gospel. Talk to them, or dress up fully where they can't see you if you're that shy. There's a sense of empowerment, I think, when you do things like that. Especially if you're new to getting the gospel and you're like super shy. If you want to conceal your identity and just walk around and hand out gospel tracts, even when you're trick-or-treating, if you want to do that too. Your kids are out there, maybe you're with them, but just, without showing yourself, just hand out gospel tracts to people at their door or something like that. So there's so many different things that we can do. One of the main things I want to do on this channel is to get people comfortable with sharing the gospel. That's why I recommend parades. That's why I recommend different types of door-to-door delivery, or newspaper box delivery, or leaving gospel tracts places, because I want to give you guys that sense of adventure and that sense of empowerment, that you do this stuff, you're like, wow, I can't believe that I did that. I want to do more now. Because that's exactly how I felt. I've shared this story a lot of times after I did my first parade. Like, I was pumped. And that's why I did like 50, 60 plus parades since 2013. The more and more I go on in life, the less and less I want to be known, actually. I don't want to be this big name in Christianity. I just want to be someone who helps people be more comfortable with getting the gospel out, and that it results in more people going out. And then them also picking up the mantle to encourage others. That's all that's my part to play in all of this, I think. And I hope it's working, even to some small extent. I just hope it's encouraging people out there. So anyway, order some gospel tracts and let me know what you guys plan on doing. And if you disagree with something I said, that's fine. Just let's please love one another and pray for one another. And just any other thoughts that you have on this. I'm going to try to upload this video right away. So go at it. And I'll be praying for you guys.